Again, I am Dr. Marty Comer, and I am the chairperson of the psychiatry department here in Charleston at the WVU School of Medicine. A little bit by way of introduction, I've been here since 1975, so actually it's over 30 years, and I've been in charge of training residents, and particularly psychodynamic psychotherapy. And by way of how I got into this subject, there's an article that came out by a fellow named Jonathan Shedler about 4 or 5 years ago that was a watershed article for those who teach psychodynamic psychotherapy, because Shedler basically demonstrated there was actual scientific evidence that psychodynamic psychotherapy, that's a Freudian, modified Freudian therapy, actually works. And it works really well. And not only does it work well, once it's stopped, it continues working. And I went, it continues working? That's interesting. How does it continue? You know how you take an antibiotic for 3 days and it keeps working for 10 days? This is the same kind of model. And I called him up and I said, why? And he says, I don't know. So then I just made up my own explanation. I think it has something to do with self-reflection. So what is that about? If you're undergoing psychotherapy, your therapist is going to somehow encourage, invite, set the stage for you to start reflecting on yourself. Initially, the therapist will do it, and then you start doing it yourself. And I thought, well, that's pretty interesting. And then I went, well, I wonder if the residents that I'm training are engaging in much self-reflection themselves. Are they taught to self-reflect? And if they do, does that help them? Does that help them become better clinicians? Is there better patient outcome? So I thought I'd examine the literature on the matter. Couldn't find much of anything. But I did come up with a hypothesis. And I said, well, this is after examining the literature, that we have some evidence that medical school, and this is interesting, medical school training diminishes the empathy levels of students who are training in medicine. Well, that's a little scary. You start off, oh my gosh, I just can't wait to help people. I'm really going to get into their shoes and sort of get things from their point of view. And, you know, I'm on the wards now, and I don't have time anymore to think about this kind of stuff. I'm sick and tired of this. Well, that's not good. And why is it not good? Because, well, it just doesn't sound good, but it actually turns out that patients who perceive their clinicians as empathic have better outcomes, even for the common cold. And there's evidence to support that. And then I realized that, geez, my field has a solution to this, a time-tested, conventional wisdom solution, namely that if residents are taught to engage in self-reflection, somehow they'll be more empathic and they'll have better patient outcomes. So the hypothesis is training in self-reflection leads to more self-reflection, and more self-reflection leads to more empathy, and thus there's better outcomes. Well, there's absolutely no evidence to support that. It's just conventional wisdom, so I thought, well, maybe I'll try and engage in a project to do so. And I'm still engaging in that project, and you're part of it right now. Well, let's talk about self-reflection and what do I really mean and what are some associated words. Awareness, that's an associated word, self-awareness in particular. And we'll see here that it's the state or condition of being aware. Well, that makes sense. Having knowledge, consciousness, we've been hearing these words thrown around quite a bit. I have to admit I am in the camp that, number one, doesn't think of consciousness as the exact same thing as introspection or self-reflection. I'm also in the camp of I think it was the thin camp. When I start to reflect on it, I'm in the thin camp. I don't think we're aware all the time or self-aware all the time. I think we're aware all the time.